always speaks about both boxes. In both boxes, they were magnificent. Bayern played with fire throughout the whole game defensively. The way they're defending, the way they're passing the ball up. Credit Manchester City, they punished them when they made mistakes.
Do you know what as well? They forced Bayern into mistakes. We'll look at that later, I'm sure. But the way that they forced Bayern to make certain passes, to make certain decisions, especially in their own third, they were setting traps all over the park today. Some of the mistakes you see from the Bayern Munich players today, they were made by the way that this Manchester City team hunted and pressed them in packs. It was impressive, man, in so many ways.
Yeah, I think especially Upamecano and Summer, they struggled at times in the game. I think Pep knew that. You know, the boys are right. You know, they closed down lanes, forced him to make risky passes, and I tell you what, it capitalised. And credit Pep. You know, he had a game plan and it worked beautifully.
We saw Kevin De Bruyne get pulled off the pitch. We weren't happy.
Yeah,
and that happens with players. Big player, he thinks he should be on the pitch all the time. They scored 2 goals instantly after that. Pep's going to walk in that change room and look at, say, listen, know what I'm doing.
No. You know what though? That third goal feels significant. I think we were talking, and at 2-0 it was like, oh, that's still a hard job to go to Germany. 3-0 just feels significantly different, doesn't it?
100%. Because it has to become an early goal. When you go into the away game now, Bayern will have to score in the first half, and they'll know that, and they'll have to set up a formation and a tactical approach that may not suit the players. And all of a sudden, you get to half-time, you're thinking with 3 goals behind you. Still, it's difficult.
We'll make sure that you join us in a week's time out in Germany and see whether Bayern can do anything to overcome this. It feels like Manchester City have delivered a knockout blow to the German side, but we will find out what happens in a week's time. Talking of knockout blows, don't miss this weekend. Well, Darren summed up perfectly what a performance and what a season the Manchester City fans are enjoying here at the Etihad. As we said before the break, that's now 20 goals in their last 4 games here. In that time they've conceded only 1. The home fans are being treated to something really special, and tonight was no exception. Of course, we'll look at the goals in a moment. We'll talk about the importance of those 3 goals that City scored, but what about the importance of the clean sheet? I mean, you know, for 2 men particularly who played as centre-halves and a man who was defensive masterclass in the Champions League.
Oh, it was huge. And like I said, normally we see Man City keep clean sheets based on their possession or their pressing from the front, but today at times that had to be resolute at the back, and we recognise how important it is to defend 1v1 and take pride in the ball or the player not going past you, and we've seen that in abundance tonight.
I always think we've got to be careful getting carried away. You know, there's still a long way to go. They've still got to take the second leg against Bayern, and then it's either going to be Chelsea or Real before we even talk about the final. But it does feel like there's a real maturity and a real calmness and a confidence here at the moment in this competition.
Yeah, I think they played slightly different. You know, they played with, you know, it's not often teams come to the Etihad and have less possession than Manchester City. But I just think they look comfortable playing actually in that way. I thought defensively, Rio mentioned with Ake and Akanji, 2 brilliant athletes kind of either side of Diaz, who was exceptional in making some blocks, and you had John Stones, and then you had Edison, who was making saves, and to me Bernardo Silva was the best player on the pitch. I just thought he caused Alphonso Davies so many issues, but you had Grealish, you had Haaland. Every player from Manchester City put in a really good performance, and I think to win the Champions League you have to have 7 or 8 players outperform the opposition. I think that happened today, and I think Pep will be delighted with the performance.
Yeah, we're hoping that John Stones is going to come and join us in a couple of minutes. It'll be really interesting actually to get his take on the role that he played this evening and how comfy he feels in that position.
Yeah, I think in recent weeks he's been doing that, and I think he's been phenomenal in the way that he's adjusted to that new ask that he's being asked to do, going into the central midfield positions. He looks so comfortable. We've all known from a young age when he was at Everton how comfortable he is on the ball from a centre-half position, but to be able to go and stand in a centre midfield position and receive the ball, different angles, different areas of the pitch, it's a phenomenal kind of attribute now that he's showing, and he's the improvements at this stage of his career. People don't really think that can happen, but Pep demands so much more than any other manager that we've ever seen, really, and he gets more out of players in that sense, and John Stones is a great example of that.
Well, we will talk to him hopefully about the way he played this evening in just a moment, but I think we've got to get through the goals, particularly if I'm a City fan sitting at home. I want to see 1-0 and I want to see it now, and I want to enjoy it over and over again.
Yeah, definitely. Outrageous strike. He's produced some moments of magic in front of goal, Rodri, not in the Champions League, but tonight this goal worthy to win any game. Cuts inside on his so-called weaker foot and looks so composed and comfortable there.
I mean, to be fair, he's one of their most consistent players, and they're all top players. But if you can get goals from a player like Rodri in that position in a game like this, it makes you almost unstoppable. I mean, that's like Kevin De Bruyne striking over his left. It was absolutely perfect.
And the importance of that goal, just unlocking that first goal on a night like this.
Yeah, and that's what you want. There's a nervousness at this stage of the tournament, quarterfinals. We talked about the magnitude of this game. It creates a nervousness, and there's an edge in the stadium. And sometimes you need someone to say, you know what, doesn't matter. This is any game to me, and I'm going to take on an opportunity. And he done that today. And what a strike! Phenomenal at this stage of the tournament. Huge player in all ways, but we don't really expect him to take on shots like that, and he's gone and produced a marvellous effort.
Okay, you're telling us you're confident enough to use the touchscreen for 2-0. We're not sure whether it's going to work out or not. But
no, that's good. You know what? The goals we're going to highlight and look at the goals, but I think it's also the detail before the goals. I think were really fascinating. I think if you look here, Jack Grealish. We talk about him on the ball, but defensively he's been phenomenal in the education and what he's putting out now. You've seen him looking over his right shoulder. There's a reason why he's looking at his right shoulder. He wants to stop this passing lane once the ball comes into Upamecano. I'll play it on again. He's having another look there. He wants to see where Pavard is. Where is Upamecano going to play the ball? He makes a decision now straight away. I'm going to get in that line and stop that pass, and I'll show you the reason why he does that. It's really intelligent defensive play. He now goes in, he's cut off that line. Look at that line. Upamecano, who was uncomfortable all night, cannot see that, and he was uncomfortable for these type of reasons, the approach. Now Upamecano's got to do something different rather than play an easy ball. He's got to travel with the ball, or he's got to find a more difficult pass, and look how uncomfortable it becomes for him. Right, I've trapped you now. Where are you going? Now it's all about quality.
That must have been a specific instruction for Upamecano, because they seem to leave him on the ball so many times, and yeah, his game was indifferent towards the end. He looks very uncomfortable, but you never want to have to dribble past the forward. And even then, Jack's really gone, go on then, you're going to have to beat me here. And then not only did he win the ball back, but he's took the composure there to put a back heel in, and an execution there from Bernardo as well.
I'll tell you what, I mean, the ball from Haaland is ridiculous. You know, we talking about it, you know, his goal scoring and all that, and naturally it's out of this world. And Bernardo's header is brilliant, but just the awareness to clip that into that area, he just knows. You know, he knows what a goal scorer wants, and he puts it into an area, and that's what I mean. Both boxes, City, the press re-highlighted that brilliantly. The press, the trap, Upamecano, they knew he was going to make a mistake, and sure enough, and he did. And to be fair, that goal could probably finish the tie off.
And there's pressing, and there's working hard, but there's doing it intelligently. And that's what we saw today, and I think it was a great example of, yes, working hard to get the ball in numbers, but also doing it with an idea and an expectation for the manager, a plan that he's put in place.
And then the third goal, you could argue the vital goal, because you can say that 2-0 is the one that puts it to bed, but 3-0 you really feel like this is City's now to throw away.
Yeah, I just thought in all phases they were brilliant. You know, this is a set piece. Bernardo, you know, I thought was fabulous. That header back across from Stones is brilliant, and they're just there in every phase. They're just a little bit more active, and Haaland's always on the move. You know, we said before, his awareness in and around the box is exceptional, but that second phase is important.
That's the thing. So, it's surprising me that someone so prolific in the area of or the 18-yard box or the 6-yard box, he's left free, that no defender has recognised this may fall to Haaland. Let's get tight, and no one's recognised that, and it's far too many. He does what he does best.
Okay, let's get some City reaction. The man who got the opening goal.
Roger, that was a tremendous game, tactically, physically. Does that feel like a giant step forward tonight?
Well, yeah, to be fair, it's a great result for us, but not just the result, the fact that the team played, the effort we all made, I think is the end of the season, quite the end of the season, and it's quite remarkable that right now the intensity, the desire we have to go to every battle, every duel. And for me, the key today was the defensive side. I think we were great, and we understood perfectly how can we punish them.
I love that you're talking about the defensive side, having scored that first goal, your first Champions League goal.
Yeah, very special for me, of course, with a good goal, and the first goal, as you say, in Champions League, to help the team in a moment. I think we were a bit struggling because they show us their weapons. They're a great team, and I think that gave us a bit of confidence, to keep going. But yes, so happy.
Beautiful curve on that shot, and also perfect weather for a knee slide celebration as well. It's a lovely moment.
That's true. Yeah. You have to, when it rains, you have to take advantage of this. Yeah, of course. I used to see the Premier League. They do these slides. In Spanish, you cannot do because there's no water.
So in the second half, they came out at you. They were more attacking, but Bernardo's goal 2-0. That was a big moment.
Yeah, I think sometimes we have to understand that we cannot have the 80% of the possession, and they play two, and they have talent players to keep the ball, and we don't feel comfortable with the ball, but we understood perfectly where the game was. I think we wait the moment. Jack was great in the stall and the second goal, and Erling, in the fact that he's not used to cross sometimes or to identify, he looks so well, Bernardo, and 2-0 was a good gap there in the game, but as you see, we want more, and we scored the 3 and we could score the 4, but it's a great result, as I tell.
Still have to finish the job, but that's a fantastic lead to have, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course, no, we don't think it's done. Of course, we know where we're going, we know the team they are. It's a good result, and we're happy because of the performance, but we don't think much on that. We're facing now Leicester in the Premier League, and when we face them back in the home, we're going to expect another final, and I think we have to try to win the game if we want to go. We cannot be conservative with this result.
Thanks for your time. Lovely.
Thank you very much.
Another great performance, another great result here at the Etihad for Manchester City. People will talk about the goals, they'll talk about the 3-0 win. We need to talk about the defending, we need to talk about the importance of that clean sheet this evening. What was it that impressed the three of you so much?
I think early on, we spoke about before the game the threats that Bayern Munich came with, the artillery out wide especially, the pace, Coman, Sane, Gnabry if he went out there, Musiala, and Akanji and Aki were absolutely convincing in that position. They said, listen, come on, I'll front you up and I'll go 1v1 against you. Didn't need to be helped with doubling up. They said, come on, I can do it, I can deal with you. And it's a big difference. As good as they are, they offer different positives. Cancelo, Zinchenko in years gone by playing fullback. You couldn't do that with those two guys, as good as they are with the ball. You couldn't say, look, you go and play 1v1 against that type of Cancelo, Zinchenko in years gone by playing fullback. You couldn't do that with those two guys, as good as they are with the ball. You couldn't say, look, you go and play 1v1 against that type of player. These two can do it, and then it allows other players to have impact elsewhere on the pitch. So in that sense, they were great. I mean, Diaz's blocks speak for themselves. They were phenomenal. And John Stones, as we spoke about, his versatility in being able to move in between the lines, midfield and defence, but also defend as well. I thought the back four were phenomenal.
Yeah, especially Aki for me. I think he's a defender that loves to be 1v1 and takes pride in not getting beat, whether it's the ball or the man. And again, Akanji, I think he successfully, he was early determined. I think he laid some on Musiala early on. But all the defenders, I think they took so much pride in not conceding and not giving anything away, to be honest. I think they recognise the threat that Bayern have individually, pace, going past them, but again.
Sorry, Joe, I think that's the key word there, having pride. I think that pride in defending kind of seems like, to me, it's creeping out of the game. When you talk about defending and defenders nowadays, it's about, the first thing is, oh, they're great on the ball, they're composed, etc., they can break the lines. This show today, which we haven't really mentioned really since your time with Vincent Kompany, we're saying that this Man City team looked like they enjoyed the element of defending. It's a huge art. This just seems to be creeping out of the game.
But it's more important that the fact that you can leave them, isolate them 1v1, and then it doesn't allow there to be overload in midfield because you haven't got a double up. And once you do that, obviously then the confidence that breeds throughout the team for various reasons is so important.
I think you got to credit Pep, because Pep obviously he's seen that with Akanji and Aki, the boys make great points. The fact that they can defend that way on their own allows John Stones to go in there and be that extra man. Obviously, I think with Haaland, before they had the false nine, now with Haaland, he doesn't receive the ball as much. So now, rather than be the false nine, it's, the John Stones has gone into midfield. Akanji being able to defend in that way, cover the width of the back, and Diaz, Rodri in front. I just think Pep is so smart in just finding these little solutions all across the pitch.
And we talk about the team today, the way that they've played, just moving on from just defensive element of the team. They've won this game at a canter convincingly without Walker, without Mahrez, without Foden. These guys, with Kevin De Bruyne coming off earlier in the game than you anticipate. I mean, that shows you the depth in this squad and the confidence that Pep has in with these players.
And how much of the disappointing element from a Bayern Munich perspective is because of the way that Manchester City played and controlled this game? And how much of it was that actually Bayern had an off night in front of goal?
There was more for Bayern today. I thought they played pretty well, actually. But in both boxes, I thought they were dreadful. They didn't really take the opportunities that came their way. I thought they had plenty of shots from the edge of the box. And credit maybe Man City, they let them have that. But I think Thomas Tuchel were furious. I thought at 2-0 their heads went down. The third goal was terrible. And I think he'll be furious. It didn't feel like a 3-0 game. I know City had some good chances. but I felt like Bayern could have scored in the game, and it was a huge missed opportunity for them.
Yeah, it's strange to say that, isn't it? Because we've actually got some of the City chances at the end of the game here. They could have scored more, but it still also didn't feel like a 3-0 game, did it?
Yeah, I think we're basing it on the possession. In between both boxes, I think both teams were pretty even. Then all of a sudden you get to the boxes and there's pride in defending, and then there's mistakes that cause goals for City. And as Owen said there, yeah, Bayern will be disappointed. They didn't score tonight. They've scored in pretty much every game this season. But you've got to give so much credit to Man City and the defenders.
Okay, well, I think I'm right in saying that finally we're going to hear from Pep Guardiola in a few minutes' time. But before that, John Stones is making his way out to us now. He had a brilliant night this evening. He started off life here as a defender, suddenly turning into a midfielder and playing it well.
Yeah, and that's the way the game's gone. So we talk about defenders being comfortable on the ball, and this guy, John Stones, coming into the screen in a minute, is one of the most comfortable about. And it's
confident walk that.
Yeah, he's confident. That's the walk of somebody who's just like living life in midfield and happy. How you doing, man?
Right, nice to see you diving in here.
How are you feeling playing in midfield? We're just talking about you playing midfield. How are you feeling in that new role that you've been asked to do?
Yeah, a lot of new things, and big learning curve for me as well in positioning, being unselfish, knowing when to create space for others. Definitely doesn't come natural, I don't think. So yeah, I'm learning all the time and trying to adapt and give everything for the team first and foremost, and yeah, express myself as well when I'm in there. I think getting on the ball and trying to read situations, and then whatever the manager is asking of me, and we work on that in training all the time. So it's always easier when it comes to a game day and knowing my roles and responsibilities.
I'm always interested in the evolution of these kinds of things. When Pep first comes to you and says, "I've got a plan for you," like, are you, as a person, naturally kind of reticent and questioning, or are you open to these kinds of ideas and sort of allowing him to take your career in the path that he thinks is best?
Yeah, no, I'm allowing it.
You have to, don't you?
You get no choice.
No, I think we've been together 7 years now, and know what's expected of me first and foremost. And I think he wouldn't do it if he didn't believe you could do it, and put players in positions that he doesn't know that they're comfortable there or can't do a role. And then it's about us trying to execute that and believing in what in our own abilities first and foremost. And then yeah, what I said before, trying to express myself and do everything I can for the team.
Great. John, what elements of the role are you enjoying most? Because for me, when I ever heard man on as a defender, that just spread panic through my whole body. So in regards to you,
I think I've tried not to do too much, to be honest. When players have got this 360 vision that comes natural to some, I've not found that yet.
180.
So yeah, if I can 100% know that I can turn and play out, I will do, but always playing kind of safe and trying to keep the ball moving. And as I said before, creating space for others, I think it's a role that other teams have picked. Yeah, huge. Things like that are always satisfying to watch. It doesn't happen too often.
Nice assist.
Yeah. But I think we thrive off things of blocks. Ruben's today, Nathan Ake's, Eddie's few saves when Leroy's hitting a ball. We know what he's like when he gets into those positions, and I think they're huge moments in games, and especially in as you said, fine margins in big games like this. Those are the key moments for me that matter, and I think we should celebrate those, and I think you can probably see from the stands that we do, and that gives everyone such a big lift. Being together, I think, yeah, I didn't know about the possession stats, but yeah, we always kind of felt comfortable, and even when they were 70, 80 minutes into the game and we were kind of backed up onto our 18-yard box, it's about being calm in those situations, knowing that everyone's in the positions, and trusting in the process as well, that everyone's going to do their job and put the heart on the line sometimes. Good
man. Look, we appreciate you coming out and joining us. That's 120 goals for the season now. 20 goals scored in the last 4 home games, 9 wins in all competitions on the bounce. There's some big games to come. I'm sure you'll just tell us you're taking it game by game, right?
Yeah, I've just said that before inside.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the boring one to
Say
say that.
Just keep on saying that.
No.
Well done tonight.
Thank you.
Another step, big
Appreciate
step towards that semi-final.
Thank you.
Top man. Thank you very much. So there you go. That's John Stones. Let's also now get the thoughts of Pep Guardiola. He's with Des.
What a great team performance tonight. I mean, you must be delighted.
Yeah, of course. When you are there, you realize how good they are as a team, Bayern Munich. So during 55, 60 minutes, it was a tight game. In a lot of moments, they were better than us. They were better. And but after 60, 65 minutes, so apart they found the second goal that helped us a lot. We make some changes and our pressing was more effective because they found Musiala. That is what exceptional player it is, and Navri, when the threats for Koeman and Leroy in behind, how fast and speed and everything they are. So it's really, really difficult to do it. We adjust a little bit. They were better, and with the ball we were better too. And yeah, happy for the result. But I lived 3 years in Munich. I know what doesn't mean Allianz Arena. I know Bayern Munich, the mentality. I know the quality they have. So many, strong game to do.
Let's talk about Rodri's goal, though, which was a special one. His first in the Champions League. A beautiful finish, wasn't it?
Oh, what a goal! Yeah. In that moment, they were better. We could not press properly. We could not, do that position. Yeah, it was difficult. But in the same time, yeah, it would help us a lot, a little bit. But even with that, the pressing was not good. For my mistake, and I read bad the way you should do to don't allow him to play. And at the end, we adjust a little bit. It was a little bit better.
You capitalised on their mistakes in defensive positions, particularly with the Bernardo goal. That was very important.
Yeah, of course, we were aggressive. The second goal is for that. So we provoked the mistake. So we let them time to think they are so good. And yeah, we did it. And of course, how they defend the back four today. Manu, John, Ruben, Nathan was amazing. Had the quality, to defend against these threats. So Leroy was outstanding today. I remember the best Leroy when we had here, and Coman, I know him quite well as well because he came when I was there, and he's another exceptional player. So looking the bench with Joao, with Mane, with Thomas Müller, it's always a threat, and it's a really, really good result for the game was, but we have still second leg to play. The players knows it, so it's not necessary to tell them here in front of you or tomorrow or before the game how difficult they are. They know it. So they are a really good team, but we're going to try to do with the mentality to play and try to win the game.
Thank you, Pep.
You're very welcome.
Goals to nil. And the goal right behind us is the goal where Erling Haaland put the ball in the back of the net. The third time City goal, the goal that probably sends them through to the semi-finals. Have you three sort of recovered from the life that you used to live, or at the end of a big game like that when you stand on the pitch, are you still thinking, I would love to give it one last shot?
Yeah, the atmosphere. When the atmosphere is like that, that's when I miss it the most. I remember coming out of lockdown, we went to Brighton, and I remember thinking, that sound. Especially tonight, I think the crowd played a massive part in the victory. The performance, I think they energised the team at the start. So, yeah, when the atmosphere is like that, I miss it.
I think when you're on the pitch and you know that the best players around are there, and it's a chance to put your wits against the best players. Can you match them physically? Can you match them tactically? Have you got the ability to win your duels? Answering all those questions through 90 minutes and finishing a game with the win, the victory, and then sitting there and just going through that again in your head. And the smells, you get the smells when you come here. There's certain smells I've got now here that just bring you back to a moment when you played, and it's only a football pitch can do that when you hear like this live in a stadium.
I thought Pep was really interesting, and when he said about Michael Jordan missed more game-winning shots than he scored. I think he won 6 titles and he lost 14 or 15. That's a great point. You almost lose more than you win in these big games. Man City had never won the Champions League, so you need to enjoy these moments. Before the game, there's a bit of stress thinking about you could win or you could lose. After the game, Jake, is the most beautiful feeling you've ever had, to be with your teammates, with the game plan, beat a top team like Bayern Munich 3-0. So these are the moments you need to enjoy because they don't always come by.
But it's hard to enjoy it. I don't remember really enjoying these moments in the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like people say,
I think because if you do too much of that, then it takes you away from what you're actually. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can either enjoy them or you can be successful. I think it's very hard to achieve both, actually.
Yeah, and it's finding the right balance is key, but I don't think there's many people that often find the balance who keep repeating and sustaining winning. And I think so you end up after your career enjoying it a little bit more when you're sitting chatting about it with your friends or with fans come up to you. But and you probably you remember that a lot of them Bayern players there, they've won a lot of things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A lot of, but this will be hard to erase from their minds. This kind of result on a night like this.
Oh, definitely. I think defeats were always harder to forget than the memories of winning. I think there's games like this where you enjoy the moment. I think I didn't enjoy the victories of the titles more. I think games like this, you don't expect to win, but you just take it a little bit for granted and think, well, we've got a second leg to play and a game in a few days. But it's when you get to the finals, they're the moments you have to enjoy.
I like the calm after the storm. I like kind of remembering crucial moments happen here, whether it was like the John Stones head.
What game was that you played in?
I was about to say that. Yeah.
What game was that?
Was that FIFA?
Was that home? With the remote control?
I was about to ask you a really good question.
Oh, go on then.
No, I'm not doing it.
Okay.
Instead, we're going to see highlights of the other night's Champions League game.